All right, welcome to today's webinar. My name is Elizabeth. We're going to be spending the next half hour together going through the app, going through Reclaim, seeing how you can use Reclaim to optimize your scheduling, to get more out of your busy work week. There is going to be a Q&A section where you can drop any questions as we go, and I'll check back and answer them as we walk through the features, some of the capabilities, and how you can get the most out of Reclaim when you're getting started. If there's any technical difficulties at any point, drop those in there too so that I can see that. I'm going to add some quick links to the chat for some of the items that we're going to be talking about in today's webinar. Let me add those real quick. All right, let's dive right in. I'm going to share my screen and we can get started. So whether you are a brand new Reclaim user or you've been on the platform for a while and are looking to learn more about how you can use Reclaim, hopefully this webinar will help you get an idea of some of the features, get a little bit more familiar with our new prioritization system that is in the process of being launched, which is very exciting. And just get more out of scheduling automation that Reclaim offers. So Reclaim is a web app. You log in from the website. If you have not signed up yet or you haven't seen this view, this is the planner. This is sort of your overview of all of the priorities that you are scheduling on your calendar, both Reclaim created events and all the other Reclaim or all the other events on your calendar. So the planner view is your classic calendar view where you have your time blocked schedule. Now, if you've tried time blocking before or have manually tried time blocking in Google Calendar, it's a great way to make sure that you are using your limited time every day and dedicating it to the things that are most important to you. But the catch with manually time blocking your calendar is that it doesn't really accommodate for changes in your schedule. So when something else comes up or you have to move things around, you actually have to go into your calendar and manually shuffle around events, drag them around to accommodate those changes. And it just doesn't make for a very consistent optimized time blocking flow. And Reclaim addresses this by automating the entire process. So you tell Reclaim what's important to you across your task work, your habits, one-on-one meetings, and Reclaim automatically builds out your productive weekly plan. Now, if you haven't signed up yet, this is the view that you will get started with. And if you have been with Reclaim for a while, this might look a little bit different if you haven't opted into our new priority system yet, which you can launch at any point from the priorities page, which will be linked as well. But this is the planner view. Now in this sidebar here, which is collapsible, you have an overview of all of your priorities. Now, Reclaim allows you to universally prioritize every event on your calendar, both Reclaim created events and other events that are on your Google Calendar that get synced in. This allows you to set a priority level from critical to low priority across all of your events. And this tells Reclaim what is most important to you during the week and what you can move around to make room for those more important things when they come up. It just allows you to take full control of everything on your calendar and make sure that you're ruthlessly prioritizing your time for the things that are most important, because at the end of the day, busy professionals have more going on than ever, and sacrifices need to be made so that you can accommodate the things that are urgent that need to get done over some of the things that you might be able to deprioritize for another week, say, or another day. Let me just pull up the Q&A so I don't miss any questions that come in. If I can find it. Okay, perfect. So this is the planner view. You have all of your priorities in this sidebar here, which you can see some of the populated tasks, scheduling links, smart one-on-ones, and habits that I have here. And we're going to break down and go through all of the features which live in this sidebar here. And we're going to start with habits, which is one of our most popular features. And habits is a great way to make time for your recurring routines. So unlike, say, task work that is always changing when your to-do list evolves every week, your habits are the routines that you want to make time for on a regular basis. basis. So the things that you need to do on a recurring cadence, whether that is daily or weekly, these can be work routines, personal routines, whatever you want to make time for on your calendar on a regular basis, so you don't have to go in every week and schedule it manually. So here's an example of some of the habits that we already have scheduled here. You can view your habits in a list or a grid, and you essentially give Reclaim scheduling rules for how you want this habit to schedule around everything else in your calendar, and Reclaim does the heavy lifting of finding time around everything else you have going on to make time for those routines around the priority that you set for them. Now you can create new habits from the pre-made templates. We have over 100 templates across departments to give you some examples of things that other professionals in your field might be making time for. These are fully customizable. You can also create a new habit from scratch with the new habit button here. So I'm going to pick a habit here. Let's do weekly design review from the templates so that we can walk through the scheduling rules. And this form will look similar across the different features that we walk through today, but it gives you an idea of some of the flexible rules that you can give Reclaim to help make time for the things that are important to you on your calendar while keeping you flexible to changes that might come up. So in this case, this is all auto-populated for the template, which you can fully customize to meet your specific needs, which is fantastic in terms of really personalizing your schedule. Now, here we have our priority levels. As I mentioned before, we have 4 priority levels that sort of bucket down by priority. Your critical events are going to be scheduled before anything else and can overbook, lower priority events. And as you go down the list, the similar sort of bucketing goes. So this is auto-populated as a medium priority event, which means that it will schedule before low priority events, but after high and critical priority events. So we're going to just leave this as medium priority event for now, or actually let's put this high priority so we make sure it gets scheduled. You have your color and category for whether it's a personal or work routine. And here you have your scheduling rules that helps Reclaim make flexible time for this routine. You have your duration, which is the minimum and maximum amount of time you want to spend on this habit at a time. And Reclaim, again, has that flexibility to schedule, your minimum amount on days where you're really busy to make sure that it gets done. And when you have a little bit more availability, it can schedule the maximum. So I'm going to reduce this a little bit just so that we can make sure it actually gets scheduled, since there's a lot going on in this calendar already. So here I have the minimum. I would like to spend at least 30 minutes on this habit. And, when I do have the availability, a maximum of 3 hours. Then you have your hours. So when you want this habit to schedule, you have your working, meeting, and personal hours, which are the default hours for Reclaim that you can set in your scheduling hours, which we'll go over in a second. And this pretty self-explanatory, allows you to set hours for when you want work events to schedule, when you want meetings to schedule, and when you want to schedule personal tasks and habits. Additionally, we have specific templates that you can build out for other specific hours, whether that's deep focus work or specific client hours if you're a freelancer, different corporate hours, whatever that might be for you, family hours. Or you can set one-off hours for a specific event. So in this case, weekly design review, you can set specific hours for this habit where you have a little bit more control over when you want it to schedule. So I'm just going to set this to working hours. If you did want to edit your hours, you can open them up directly from here just to make sure that everything looks good here. In this case, it's Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., fully customizable. You can add multiple time ranges to a single day, customize them for different days, and even remove specific days that you might not want certain events to schedule on. Again, really taking ownership of your calendar the way that you want it to build out. Then you have your frequency, so how often you want to complete this event. It could be a daily event for something like lunch. It could be weekly if it's something like exercise, or updating a report, as far out as quarterly, so those long-term recurring events don't slip through the cracks. You can set a start date, so if you wanted it to start after a certain time, you could do that. I'm going to leave this as the default as soon as possible so we can start scheduling time on the calendar for it. For habits, you have this notes field, which is really helpful if you have, say, a report that you wanted to fill out or a drive that you wanted to link to. This will add your note to the actual event on your calendar, so you don't have to go looking for things when that event comes up. This does support Markdown, so you can add things like headings and lists and images to your event notes as well. And then you have your visibility settings, which again allows you to control how others view this event on your calendar. Now, Reclaim is all about, building out transparency for your team, so giving context to what you're busy with when, so that people can understand that, when you have a busy event on your calendar, it doesn't just say that you're unavailable, but actually explains what you're working on. If this was a personal habit, for example, where I wouldn't want my team necessarily having too much information about it, I could just mark this as busy and it would show that as a busy time block without additional details. But I'm happy for my team to see what I'm working on during the week on work events. So I'll leave this as having a description. And then you have your advanced options where you can see others. And we have this neat feature for duplicate events, which works great for something like lunch, where, you might have your daily lunch event. But if Reclaim notices an event on your calendar that says something like team lunch, it will filter out that word and not schedule an additional lunch habit for you on that day, because you wouldn't want to have 2 lunches. So it's just a great way to, again, streamline that so you don't have to constantly be manually correcting your calendar. And then you can auto decline interruptions for your very important routines, which will mark it as a busy event, and anyone who tries to schedule a meeting with you will get a decline of the invitation. And I'm going to hit save, and Reclaim is going to get to work in scheduling this habit around everything else that I have on my calendar. And we'll have it schedule here, where under the habit events, we can see our upcoming instances for this habit around those scheduling rules that we set. So the next one is November 20th. If we go back to the planner and head to the 20th, next Monday, we will have it scheduled on the calendar. Where is it scheduled? It was the 20th, right? And it will schedule on the calendar around everything else we have going on. Here we go. Weekly design review. And since it is a high priority habit, this event can overschedule medium and low priority habits, because you are telling Reclaim that this one is more important. And if my day books up, I'm happy to move lower priority events out of the way so I can make time for that. In the planner, you can click on any event to see, again, those upcoming events, make edits, and sort of get an overview of your scheduling rules. A great way to stay on top of your daily schedule. Reclaim does a great job of building out your plan around all of these scheduling rules, but you're still in full control of your day-to-day plan. Say, I had a little bit of time now and I wanted to start working on the weekly design review. I could start this habit now, and Reclaim would clear my day currently to make time for that and reshuffle everything else to accommodate. And you can do this from any of your task or habit events in this sidebar as well. So currently we have morning catch-up going. I could stop this if I was done with my catch-up and start something else. And Reclaim accommodates or resets your calendar so that it reflects accurately where your time is spent. Let's see if we have any questions on habits here. All right. So that's sort of an overview of habits. And this gives you a little bit of an idea of how Reclaim schedules time on your calendar and time blocks your calendar around your priorities. Now, your habits all exist here. You can also manage your events from the priorities tab. And this is what I mentioned earlier, our newest prioritization system, which really takes prioritizing your events and the things that you have to do every week to another level. And here you can see all of our events by priority. So you have your low priority to critical events. Here we have under high priority, habits, weekly design review. If I wanted to downgrade this, for example, to a medium priority event, I could just drag and drop this into the new priority, and Reclaim would adjust my calendar around everything else. The priority is also designated here, where you can update it manually from this little bar icon. Any questions? All right. So all of your habits live, or all of your habits, tasks, all of your Reclaim events live in this priorities page as well. This gives an overview of habits, which is a great way to make time, again, for those recurring routines. And let's take a look at tasks next, because this works a little bit differently. And your tasks are really fantastic for, obviously, your evolving to-do list, the things that are constantly changing that you need to make time for on your calendar before deadlines come up. There's a big gap between having things on your to-do list, things that you need to get done, and actually finding the time around everything else that you have going on to work on it and get it finished before deadlines come up. And it's really easy for that to slip through the cracks, especially as meetings book up. So getting that time on the calendar to work on something is really important in making sure that it actually gets done. And that's what tasks are for. In a very similar way to habits, it's scheduled around those scheduling rules that you set for Reclaim around the other events on your calendar by the priority that you set. So this is an overview of some of the task lists that we have, or some of the tasks that we have on our task list. And you'll see our list here. And then we have this section called Up Next, which we'll go over in a second. Creating a new task is really simple. You can do it from the top header bar here by hitting new tasks. You can also shortcut C from anywhere in the app, and it will pull up this sort of mini form that is very similar to the form that we saw for habits. Here you add a task name. So let's say I have to edit this video. I can set the priority for it. So I'm going to say critical because it's very important that I get this done. Let's say I need 1 hour. If you had a longer task event, say something that would take 7 hours, you can split it up again by a minimum and maximum duration so that Reclaim can find time around your other schedules to make time for it. Obviously, 7 hours in one stretch might be hard to come by. So splitting it up is great for those longer term ones. I'll just leave this as 1 hour for now. And since it's critical, it should be able to book it as soon as possible around my other events. Again, you can set the hours that you want this to schedule for, set out a certain time that you want to start scheduling, and you add the deadline, which of course is the most important detail here. Let's say I need it done by the 30th. You have your visibility settings, which you can set as private or busy. This will be the default that you have set for your privacy for events. And then you can hit create, and Reclaim again will start scheduling that event around everything else that you have going on. And we have it right here where it has our next scheduled event or our due date here, and it should show your upcoming event on the 21st for when it is scheduled. Now, Up Next is a really neat new feature for the prioritization system that allows you to, again, take immediate control of your near-term calendar. So you have, say, a really long task list with all your to-dos and everything scheduling around deadlines. You can take control over what Reclaim schedules next if something becomes more urgent, if something needs to get done before the original deadline that you set. And Reclaim will prioritize scheduling those first, regardless of the priorities that you have set for those events or any other events. So they will still schedule before critical events. So if I drag edit video into Up Next, very simply, Reclaim will prioritize scheduling that as soon as possible. In this case, it was still the same date, but managing it above all of your other priority events by making sure that that can get done first. You also have a great way to filter through things that might be at risk for things that are due that you don't have enough time for to schedule in the calendar, as well as things that go over your deadlines that you have set for those tasks. Completing tasks when something is done, just marking it done with a check mark makes it really easy and moves it into your done tasks phase. You can filter your task states up here. So tasks marked done will show you all of the tasks that have been marked as completed, which is a great way to go back and take a look at everything that has been done, as well as add additional time if you needed to get it back on the calendar, or log work that you did that wasn't necessarily scheduled, or mark it as incomplete if you needed to pull it back onto the calendar. Let's see if we have any questions for tasks. All right. So that's a look at tasks. Again, in the planner view here, you will have your task list in the overview according to your priority level. We also have this tasks tab up here, which allows you to just manage your tasks from the planner view, again, with your task list, your Up Next section, where you can also sort your list by the smart default. So how Reclaim is prioritizing it around the priority levels that you have set and deadlines that you have set for those tasks. You can sort this list by priority level or by due date, so you can see what's due next. This won't actually change how Reclaim schedules your tasks on the calendar, but allows you to organize the list so that you can see it better in the way that you need it to. Let's see, we have a question for tasks. When you update tasks and click up as complete, will it auto update and Reclaim? This is a great question, and let's take a look at integrations because that's what I was going to next. Our task feature is great for making time to work on your tasks, but Reclaim also integrates with project management tools that you might already be using, including Todoist, ClickUp, Asana, Jira, Linear, as well as Google Tasks. Your integrations live under settings here, integrations where you can set up and connect Reclaim with these tools that you're already using. And this allows you to automatically sync your tasks from those platforms. So say you get assigned tasks in ClickUp, or you assign yourself tasks in ClickUp, you can automatically sync them to your Google Calendar through Reclaim. And all of these work a little bit differently, just so they can match how ClickUp tasks work, or how any of these integration tasks work. In ClickUp, these are bidirectional. Across all of these, it's bidirectional. So when you create a task and mark it as done in Reclaim, it will mark it done in ClickUp as well. Reclaim's prioritization system will also map your priority across those integrations. So when you have a high priority task in ClickUp, it will be a high priority task in Reclaim. We have a wiki covering all of the new priorities system, how it works, how Reclaim prioritizes your tasks, as well as how Reclaim prioritizes your tasks across integrations. So I'll have that linked as well. And setting up your integrations is really simple from the integrations tab. We also have a Raycast extension for Reclaim, which is great for Mac users for shortcut use, as well as a Google Calendar add-on, which I've been working sort of in the Reclaim app here. But if you were a dedicated Google Calendar user, Reclaim is a bidirectional tool. It's a calendar assistant for Google Calendar. So everything that you do in Reclaim automatically will schedule on Google Calendar as well. And when you have the Google add-on installed, which is free for all our users in the marketplace, you get a little sidebar here for Reclaim, which allows you to have a very similar view to that of the planner, where you can manage your calendar from in Google Calendar without having to switch between Reclaim and Google Calendar to manage your time across all of your priorities. Now, I've talked a lot about sort of making time for your individual priorities, your habits, your tasks, but Reclaim also has collaborative features, including smart one-on-ones, which allows you to make time for your recurring one-on-one meetings around both people's availability. Again, very similar form in terms of filling out scheduling rules for how you want these recurring meetings to schedule with your direct report or manager. Smart one-on-ones work with both Reclaim users and non-Reclaim users, which makes it very versatile. It's a one-time email invitation where your invitee can set up their availability. Again, you can add links for a description or notes, set the priority for your meeting, the frequency and duration of which you want to meet, the hours where you want the meeting to schedule, what days work for you during the week, add a video conferencing link or location. And once that schedules, Reclaim will automatically find time across both people's busy calendars to find the best time to meet for both attendees, which is, again, a great way to make sure that you're finding time to meet without the constant back and forth of the scheduling process. Smart one-on-ones are also great because they allow you to skip or reschedule a meeting as both the organizer and attendee, again, without having to go out of your way to send back and forth emails. If we find a one-on-one meeting coming up here, let's see, Patrick and Ellen, I can open my one-on-one, say that I won't be able to make this on Monday. Hitting or right-clicking the event on the calendar allows me to reschedule or skip the event. I could say reschedule for another day, and Reclaim will find the next best time across both of our calendars to connect for that meeting. All right. We also have scheduling links, which is a great way to make time for your meetings that are external, or just being able to send out a booking link or a meeting link for someone to find time on your calendar. And this is really, really powerful, especially with our new prioritization system, where you can prioritize important meetings over other things on your calendar. There's a big problem of, having a booked out calendar, you're time blocking, you're making sure that your time is dedicated to your important things. But when it comes to scheduling out a meeting link, it can be really difficult to send someone your availability when you're booked out for, weeks in advance, where you have to go in and delete events to make sure that that time is available, that they can see that they can actually book a meeting. And Reclaim sort of optimizes and automates that entire process by allowing you to set priority levels for your scheduling links that will show the other events on your calendar as available times. So your critical scheduling links, say this customer interview session, if I open this up as a critical scheduling link, this will show all of our events that are marked as a lower priority. So high priority events, medium priority events, and low priority events as available times on the calendar so that you can prioritize your most important meetings first. Again, if you have, say, a medium priority scheduling link, that will show only low priority events as available. And that way you can really accommodate how you share your availability to others trying to find time with you without having to go in and, again, manually delete events on your calendar to open up that availability before you send it. You can also personalize and share times with other people. So if you wanted to send some times in an email, you could select a few days and a few times and copy those to your email. With the Google Calendar add-on, it automatically also adds the add-on to your Gmail use, where in the Composer, you will have, again, that little Reclaim icon where you can automatically add your scheduling links to an email without having to go back and find it in the app. So scheduling links, again, have a lot more functionality than that, but that gives a bit of an overview of how you can make time for your most important meetings without having to go in and manually clear time from your calendar, because we do realize that, sometimes you have important meetings that are prioritized over other things on your calendar that you're happy to move things around for. And then there's also normal meetings where you're happy to share, a little bit less availability because you have other priority tasks or habits or smart one-on-ones on the calendar already. Again, just taking full control of the calendar so that you can make sure your time is dedicated to the things that truly matter most to you every week. Under settings here, we have a few more settings. We have our hours, which I've mentioned before, where you can set your working, meeting, and personal hours, as well as build out custom hours for specific time ranges that you want to be available for things. You can set your colors for events, where Reclaim will auto color code events by category so that you can set your calendar up to look the way that you want to and be visually indicative of where your time is going. We have our integrations, as well as your general settings, where you have default task settings that you can set for how you want Reclaim to auto fill the task form for quick task creation around some of your sort of default settings that you want to make time for. We also have buffer time and breaks. Obviously, productivity means getting as much done as possible, but there's also limits to that, and making sure that you have time to reset after meetings or time between your events to, set up for the next thing that you have on your calendar, or just to get up and walk around, get a glass of water. That all promotes that productivity as well and protects your balance during a busy work week. You can add travel time to events before and after that include a location so that you have time scheduled on the calendar to get to where you're going and back. And again, just have that control over how your calendar is built out around your preferences, whether that is, having a decent break after every meeting so you're not booked back to back, or, whatever that might be, setting it up the way that you want it to be. Let's see if we have any other questions here. All right. Now we're already on time. Half an hour is limited when it comes to showing everything that Reclaim can do. Obviously, there is so much more to it. We have calendar sync, which is a great feature for people juggling multiple schedules so that you can copy and sync events to your primary calendar and manage your availability from one place. Our setup guide in the app, which is right next to the new task button, walks through a lot of the features that I've already talked through with videos, as well as links to help documentation and just walkthroughs of some of the features that I talked about today. We have a help center that is currently being updated for our new prioritization system, but we have the priorities wiki on Notion that covers all of the updates to our prioritization system if that UI looks a little bit different from what you're using right now. We have a YouTube channel that covers a lot of our features, as well as other content, and all of our live webinars are also there, so you can watch them afterwards if you wanted to review something. All of our help center docs here will help you get started. Hopefully this webinar was helpful in sort of walking through the app, giving it an overview of some of the core features. If you have any questions or you run into issues, you can always contact our support team who's on standby to answer any questions that you have or troubleshoot any issues. I'm going to stick around for one more minute here. I know we're at time to answer any other questions that come in, but I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And yeah, thanks so much for joining. There will be a follow-up email with a link to the recording of the webinar. And again, we look forward to hearing any feedback or questions in our form from our support team. So thank you so much for joining. I'll I'll stick around for another minute to see if there's any other questions. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day, and hope you enjoy Reclaim when you do get started. All right, everyone, if there's no other questions, have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for joining me today.